Who do you need in your business from the Small Business Solver team? And basically, this is so important because really starting your own business can be extremely lonely. And that means that we need to reach out to other people, not only for the business side of us, but also for the personal side of us. And that's very important. One of the top reasons why small business owners actually close their businesses and shut the doors is because of burnout. And part of that is just simply not having the business and the emotional support that we need. And really, depending on the stage of your business and the type of industry that you're in, there's different types of support that you need. So we're going to walk through the idea testing stage, the startup, high growth, and maturity. And you're going to notice that we don't include decline or close, but that would also require different types of people. And then, of course, the industry type. So are you technology, service, or manufacturing? And there's different skill sets that you really need to demand. So jumping into this, stages of business. And the reason that we need different people at different stages is because we ourselves are at different maturity levels, personally, and also the business just simply has different needs. For instance, at the idea testing stage, what we're really looking at is we need to know whether or not the idea is marketable. So the people that we need on the business front is actually market testing. And that doesn't necessarily mean you need to find a company to do that for you. It means that you need to find people that you can test your product and or service on. So market testing with a focus on a willingness to pay. So simply asking them, do you think that my new widget here is a good idea? They could say yes. It's more, are you going to put your money where your mouth is? Will you actually give me some money up front? A really great way of testing the marketplace is throwing something up on eBay, having an e-commerce site, going to Kickstarter or some other crowdfunding operation, just to see whether or not people are actually willing to pay, because that's testing the marketability. And really, that's the key part of idea testing. Once you have that in place, the other piece that you also need is the personal side for you. And what you need is someone who is honest and that you can trust. But the tricky part is they can't be overly optimistic and they can't be overly pessimistic. You need someone who, every time you ask them, what do you think? Is this a good idea? They're going to answer honestly. They're not just going to say, yeah, of course, yeah, keep going. And you also don't want them to say, why are you still working on this? What a waste of time, all the time. They can't be saying that all the time. And yet, they have to be able to give you a nice blend of both motivational input as well as the devil's advocate, or, the realist. Hey, is this really going to fly? So do you have someone who is honest and you trust, who has that nice blend of devil's advocate and cheerleader? In the idea testing stage, it's okay if this is your close friend or family member. It doesn't necessarily have to be, but you should respect them, you should trust them, and they should have that nice blend, and they're the right person. So now that we know the business and the personal in this first stage, let's jump to stage 2, when you actually launch or start up your business. So the business launch, really as the owner of the company, this falls to you, and really you are focused on the action side. However, on the business front, there are some things that you don't have to be an expert in yourself, and you're allowed to actually lean on other people. Specifically, setting up your accounting, financials, getting the basics in place. On the legal front, if there's anything up front in terms of structure or contracts that you need. So reaching out to these types of professionals is really a good place, is at the startup or launch. However, most of the action should be done by yourself. On the flip side, the personal, still very important. In fact, even more important at this point in time, because now it's not just testing the idea and it being, say, a hit to your ego if the idea doesn't work. Now it's going to be a hit to your wallet if the idea doesn't work. So on the personal side, you're now going to need someone who you can have regular check-ins on both the business and the personal side. So it's someone that you still like and trust, but At this point in time, it may not make sense for it to still be a family member, and definitely it should never be an employee. A little bit of a conflict of interest, of course, on the employee side. And on the family member side, it's going to start becoming overwhelming. There's so many peaks and valleys in the startup and launch stage that you're actually going to want to talk to this person basically every day, every other day, minimum once a week. And based on that, you don't want to keep on dumping this load on definitely a spouse or other family member. So who are you looking for? You're probably looking for maybe a mentor at this point in time. And you can find a mentor at a networking group or through your own group of professionals or through your own network of people that you know. Or alternatively, just actually showing up for a networking group of like-minded or other individuals who are starting up their own companies so you can actually share with them. You can actually find this through anything including a BNI networking group, or LeTip is another one for networking, a Chamber of Commerce you might be able to find this at, a local business improvement area you could find this at, or even any small business center that's out there. So looking for either a mentor or a networking group at this point in time to help you on the emotional front is critical because you're going to want to talk. Now jumping into the high growth. So this is past the startup stage. Now things are really gaining momentum. Who do you need? Well, here is where we really look on 4 major pillars of a business and making sure that you have someone who's responsible for each and where they actually have their strengths. So you're probably going to start hiring or contracting if you haven't already at this point in time, and making sure that people are in specific silos. So sales and marketing, leadership and management, financial management, and then the operations or product development are some of the key pieces that we're looking at here. The next is going to be your personal side. So at this point, now that you're growing, maybe one mentor is not enough. And maybe because you have these 4 main silos, you actually need more people to be supporting you in more specific areas. So potentially a board of advisors with various skill sets to provide a different lens to you. And a board of advisors, you don't have to pay them. There could be an honorarium to them. But it's basically more than one mentor who meets on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis, depending on your need. Definitely in your first few years of business, a monthly basis is probably going to support you better. But at the same time, you don't want to be asking more than they're able to give. At this point in time, you might also be wanting to have a business coach to help you on a more day-to-day level than the board of advisors would. Of course, a business coach would probably not have the full spectrum of various lenses than a board of advisors would have, but as they get more integrated into your business, they would still be able to help you on the strategic approaches here, as well as being a shoulder to lean on. Business coaches do appreciate that though they're there to help you on the business side, that's very closely tied to the personal, as we've demonstrated in this video. In terms of the last stage that we've identified here or talked about is the maturity. So once you've even gone through the high growth and things have leveled off and you're not necessarily stagnant, but your growth rate is at probably less than 10% at this point in time. So for business, this is where you're really focused on rationalization and optimization. So who do you actually want to have? Probably someone on the operations side and someone on technology to streamline processes and automate processes where it makes sense and increase your scalability. So that's going to help with optimizing and reducing costs. In terms of overall, you now go probably from a board of advisors to a board of directors where they actually do have some liability. You probably need liability insurance. Well, you would need liability insurance to be covered for them, as well as you would at this point in time begin paying them or compensating them in some way. That's why I've moved them to the business side. On the personal side, you probably still want some sort of strategy personnel, be it a business coach or someone who's more full-time within your organization. And probably if you don't already have one, you would have some sort of executive or personal assistant at this point in time or even the phase before. So now that we've covered the phases and the various people that are required there are a few differences based on the industry. And there's differences on who you need because of the challenges that you're facing. Under technology, we're really facing the challenge of joint development while selling at the same time. So what should you be developing? Are you on track? Are you still bringing in revenue? And how do those two complement each other? Or how do you handle those opposite spectrums? In services, the main challenge is service level consistency. As you continue to grow, it's not just yourself delivering the service. Now all of a sudden you have employees who deliver the service. So service level consistency becomes one of the larger problems. And then in manufacturing, it's continuing to integrate and optimize your processes and your manufacturing processes specifically. So who do you need? Under technology, this has been identified by Multiplicity Accelerator, who focuses on technology startups. And they've identified that there's really 3 prongs of management or people that you need in a technology company startup. But of course, this would start going for your organizational structure, would probably grow from this as well. And really, you should have one person responsible for each of these 3 prongs. So probably if you have a startup of a technology company, you need 3 people. However, one person can handle 2 prongs, but typically not all 3. So best practices would be one person for each prong. However, one person can handle 2 as a maximum. So the first prong is technology, and that's going to be the development side, focusing on making sure that there's improvement, that there's development quality, and that they're continuing to focus on the programmer work, as well as bugs, defects, and enhancements. So focused on development. And then the flip side is going to be focused on sales. So you do need someone who is focused on selling, business development, and that is their sole focus. The final piece is strategy. So the sales is really focused on cash flow today and selling and building those relationships today. But the strategy is then seeing where development should be leading, so the prioritization there, and where sales should be going, so again the prioritization there. So the strategy hat, that individual could probably also handle technology and strategy, or they could probably handle strategy and sales. But having one individual who handles both technology and sales would be quite overwhelming in a technology company. For a service company, the main part here for consistent service quality is to have HR management, because it's all about your people. As you scale up, you're hiring more people, and that's where you have the service quality concern. So you do need someone who's really focusing on the hiring of employees, the training and onboarding of employees, and then of course your retention, engagement, and ongoing development of people. So ongoing training thereafter. And really for services, the HR management or the management piece is what you need to be focusing on to make sure you have the right people in the door, they know what to do, and then of course you don't want to be losing them. And the final industry that we're looking at here is manufacturing. And really there's 2 pieces here. The first is that for optimization, you want to have some sort of balance. And the balance is in between having the right information, capacity, and inventory. So whenever you're delivering a product, which manufacturing is doing, you want to make sure that you either have the inventory on hand when someone actually orders a product, or you have the ability to manufacture it quickly, which would be the capacity, or you know that the order is coming, so it's forecasting or better understanding of your customers, so the information, which could be technology. So you don't need to have everything of this triangle, but you need to have a balance to help optimize and make sure you continue to deliver. On the other side is not only do you have the optimization side, but you also have the integration side is critical for manufacturing. And for this, it's innovation and communication to make sure that you keep on improving and the whole group, the whole manufacturing company is moving forward. And so how do you do this? Is really down to process. You want to be documenting what you're doing today, then letting everyone know what you're doing today. And it's when everyone knows what's supposed to be doing what is a standard, that's where you start seeing gaps or room for improvement. And that's where all of a sudden you start leading to innovation because people said, did you think about this? Oh, that's what we're doing? Why aren't we doing this? And then all of a sudden innovation starts happening. And that's what really continues to have the integration and the optimization together, which are the key challenges and important factors for a manufacturing company. So the wrap-up is really based on your stage of business and the industry that you're in, you will need very different people. Who do you really need? If you have any questions about any of this information or want to learn more about Small Business Solver, please contact us at info@smallbusinesssolver.com.